And then like knowing what you do now, what's something that you feel like is more like meaningful to you than before?
I think that like self-actualization, like internal validation, and really learning what that feels like and looks like when you're making daily decisions. Like I joke and it's lighthearted, but I have learned a lot having purple hair and like the reactions I get from other people, but like having purple hair makes me fucking happy and I don't fucking care. And so how can I bring that kind of energy into every decision, every action, you know?
Well, I think it takes so much, just to piggyback off that, and then I might have to ask you to repeat the question because I'm lost. But I feel like it takes so much courage to actually fully express yourself. And that's why I love fashion. And like, I know you love fashion too. And like, it's just it's kind of like using your body as a canvas. It's like, this is how I feel and this is how I'm expressing myself. And this is what makes me feel best. And so when you get negative, you know, it's kind of like when you're a little kid and you're dressing up in like your rain boots and your princess outfit and you go to school and it's like, you don't know that you're going to get any bad feedback until someone talks shit to you. Yeah. And then you're like, wait, is there something wrong with me being myself? And it's like, I think that happens so young. That's why so many people like suppress themselves and like, are like, no, I need to appear normal. And I need to like, I don't know, just like be basic. Yeah. I hate to say that.
Out of safety.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think if people like actually got out of that and got out of their ego and like allowed themselves to like nurture that like free, creative, non-judgmental space of like, wait, who really am I? Like, what actually do I want? And like, I think there's one of my really good friends, Hannah, she always used the the visual of like our brain is a garden. And when you go and you're weeding the garden, you're like, wait, did I even plant that? It's like, no, that's a mom thought. Like I don't even care about going in that direction with my career because that was a seed planted by my mom or like someone else. And so I think it's actually, you know, don't diminish the purple hair thing because I think it's such a good and relevant point. And like also we are surrounded in a friend group that's like super open-minded and like accepting and like, you know, definitely excited about being authentic. It's like, how authentic can you actually be? Whereas like, I even went on this little trip to San Antonio this last week and I like forget, like people just like don't live like that. Yeah. Like it's not always the case, you know? So I think when you have an environment that supports your authenticity, that's when like that to me is like step number one is like find your weirdo people that like get it. And then all of a sudden you see yourself blossom. Like even since meeting you guys over the last like year and a half, I feel like I'm a totally way more authentic version of myself. Like, and I think that started like once I moved to Seattle because again, Seattle is like a city where it's like the weirder you are, the cooler it is. Or like, don't be basic kind of, I think is like the vibe I always got there. And I finally was able to like fully express myself and just like be more into edgier fashion and like, you know, pursuing all the different things that I want to and like be more open about what I cared about. Whereas I feel like I was never in an environment that actually was supportive of that. Yeah. And I think that's also probably what deters so many people. But anyways, what was your question? The purple hair got me going. I was like, be yourself.
I was going to say, has anything changed in your life where something it seems to be more meaningful for you now more than before or more than ever?
I guess probably, I mean, even just hearing myself talk about that authenticity and freedom. Like, I think I definitely in other lives was like a warrior person or something. Cause I have that, like, I know what it's like to not feel free in certain ways. And so like knowing what it's like to be on the other side of that. And most of that is self-imposed, that like the caginess that you put yourself in is like comical when you open. It's like a bird that has like in a cage with like the doors wide open. It's like, it's like, that's how I feel like my life has changed a lot in the last like probably 3 years. To where it's just, I don't like hold myself back as much. And now that I know how to do that, I think I'm so passionate about like other people. I'm like, you just need to be who you are. Like, even if I don't like that and like it's annoying or whatever, like to people, like it's like, that's what makes life exciting. And I think that's what attracts you to your higher path of like who you need to meet. Like, unless you're like, I would never have met you if I wouldn't have left a really, I had like a very like just kind of traditional type of relationship I was in when I was in Seattle. I was like on the way to getting married and like all the things. I was like, I literally kept telling this person, I'm like, I am on the wrong frequency. I'm like, I'm not on the right timeline. And they were like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, exactly. You don't get it. Like, this is not the right timeline. Yeah. And then, you know, but then I had to go that ego death, which you and I have like cracked up about, like how it really is like a crucifixion and it's just your ego dying. Like it's all it is. So I would say definitely freedom and empowering people in my world to fully express themselves without holding back. And also like just making sure that I'm always creating a supportive environment for that self-expression to happen without like having to like, I was talking with Madeline earlier. It's like, you can't intervene like with people's journey. So it's like, but you can be supportive and saying like, yes, you should do that, but you should never, or, you know, like, yes, like this is a safe space for you to like experiment and always be yourself, but like to not give too much of your like projection onto like people's experience. Cause I think you had said that earlier too. You're like, what you're trying to manifest, a big part of like you getting the manifestation is like not listening to the bullshit like other people are telling you. And I think it's kind of the same thing. You know, it's like basically not letting yourself be like too swayed.
Yeah. So I think that's what's super important to me is like to like have courage and not be like a coward. Cause I think that's one of the hardest things when you are trying to do something is to like have enough courage to just do it. And whenever I definitely like feel not super confident, I just try to get something out that's like, feels like, oh, I'm being courageous. Like, cause I feel like if I don't, then I just spiral into like just staying where I'm at.
Yeah.
When I'm like, that's the problem. So I like being around people that definitely don't like, that know how to commit too. Like I always want to help people in that way. Cause I know has kept me from everything I want, or like having the belief to just like not worry so much. I think that's like my biggest thing that's so meaningful to me, because I really want that in my life, or I want to be that. Because like,
you want to be what?
Like I want to be an example of someone who's like courageous. Yes. I don't want to be someone who's like
you are.
Like, you know, because I used to be like a coward about a lot of things, like even just talking to girls or or like trying to express my artistic vision for something. I used to always be like the vulnerable, quiet, emotional, like artsy type that like people would be like, you're too real for me. I can't, I don't know about what you're saying. Like it's too, I don't know, it's too emotional, I guess, most of the time. And that's just who I was, but I wasn't like courageous enough to be like, yeah, this is what I want to do. It was more like, oh, I have this idea. I don't know.
Totally.
When really it's like, if I just did it, people would be like, oh, wow, this is like mind blowing that you're able to do this or something.
Yes.
So, but it's only because I like come from like more of a film background that I know that whenever you're not committed to yourself or like doing that, your work is just gonna not be great.
Commit to the bit.
Yeah.
Commit to the bit.
Commit to the bit.
That's
oh,
like,
God. That is going to be my new Instagram bio.
I feel like you've empowered me to do that though. Like sometimes you just have to, we've said it before, like get out of your own way.
Totally.
And just do it. Like that has come up a lot recently for me. Just like, don't even think about it. Just do what you know you need to fucking do.
I think similar to you wanting to be seen as courageous and like fully committed because that's something you overcame like when you were a younger person or like when you were developing. That is also why I think I'm so focused and like excited about other, you know, like my message or my presence being empowering to other people, because I feel like I was always disempowering myself behind the scenes, even though I've always been seen as like a big personality and a big energy. Like I remember growing up, I would just like, I like police myself. You know, like I would like go to a social thing and like come home and like edit myself and be like, why did you say that? You know, like it's like truly being in like in this neurotic like space of like constant criticism. And it's like, it's exhausting. And like then you can't be your true self. Like if you're constantly policing yourself, and don't get me wrong, like that's a part of developing. And granted, I'm talking about when I was like a teenager, maybe I should have policed myself at that point. But like, I mean, those habits stay with you as an adult and as you develop, and it's like, it's unnecessary. And so I think that's why I'm so focused on actually just being free and like literally do what you want, say what you want, as long as you're not hurting other people. But like, and fully committing, like full send, like whatever that is, like just fucking do it.
Yeah. And then what would you say is something you've integrated from your lower self that you're now like at peace with rather than like struggling with?
I am not afraid to let things die. Like burn it to the ground.
If it's not for you.
If it's not for you. And once you realize that, don't tiptoe. Don't tiptoe around it. Like when you have that clarity, move with it.
And maybe that goes back to what you were saying of like the people pleasing.
Yeah.
It's like that was a part of your story, but now nah.
Don't second guess that. Like burn it to the ground, let that ego die, because something beautiful can come and take its place. Like you cannot have the light without the dark.
How about you?
Wait, what's the question again?
What's something you've integrated from
I'm like, I was so into Shelby's responses. I'm like, yes, bitch, go off.
It's like, what's one behavior or something from like you would say your lower self that you've like integrated and have like peace with rather than struggling?
The criticism for sure. Like, I mean, that's kind of like been, I'm so self-critical. And I think I, even growing up, I was probably not just critical of myself, but like pretty judgmental of other people and like pretty like, I don't know. I think it's kind of goes to the adage of like, when you feel like you can't control, like I also identify as someone who's has like just very intuitive, very emotional. Like I feel things, what seems like a lot more deeply than other people. And so growing up, my family was like not like that. And so I feel like I had to contain that and like keep that in a box. And so that it made me feel bad for being who I was. And so I judged and criticized that huge aspect of myself. And so then I would encounter other people who are like that. And then I would also do the same thing and be like, why aren't you acting right? You know, or like, why are you, because I was so worried about being judged in my own little sphere. And whereas like now that it's like the pendulum has swung and like, you know, even when those criticisms come up, it's kind of like I laugh at it a little, you know, or I'm like, oh, hello, friend. Like it's still there and I have to recognize it, but I have to laugh about it and be like, okay, like you can still have those thoughts and then also do it anyways. Like it doesn't, that's probably my biggest thing. And I don't think that'll ever be something I stop working on. And I think I'm like only at the precipice of like what's actually like being free and your creative expression. I don't even think I've come close to tapping in. I feel like I'm just like getting through the mental bullshit of like even understanding what all that is. Cause I think unless you understand the complexities of like your behavior and like why, you can't be freed from it. And so it's like why most people avoid introspection and like meditation and like facing themselves, because it's a lot, you know, but it's like, once you get through it, it's like, oh, cool. Like I can literally be and do anything I want. Like now that I've like laid that to rest, let it die, you know, let it burn down or whatever. But like, I don't know. That's my big thing. Wait, what about for you?
I would say it's probably sometimes spiritual materialism, where it's like, because I feel like I know certain things, sometimes I have a little chip on my shoulder when I'm talking to people, because a part of me is like, I can sense or read them, but and then a part of me is like, oh, I want to help, but like, it's not my job. Like, I know it's not my job. So a part of me a lot of times wants to support people without their consent, you know, sometimes. And I'm like struggling to like not do that when it's like, you're your own person and I should have no like influence on that.
But your influence is from like you living in your authentic way and like crushing it and like doing all the things that you say. I feel like personally for me, like just being your friend, I feel influenced by that because I'm like, oh, he's out here doing it. Like like getting clients and like, you know, making creative projects. I'm like, he like meditates and does these things and then like actually like it comes to fruition. Whereas like, I don't know, it's kind of like anything. It's like someone comes in is like trying to be your savior. You're like, yep, fuck you. Like, I'm not dealing with that. That's all that's me anyway.
Yeah. And now that I look back, like I hate when I have done that because it's like, it's just showing that like I see lack in people rather than the opposite. Like it says more about me than anything. So that's why like I know that's something I have to work on. But then I also just know that I have to have integrity with my work. Like I can't be saying stuff and sharing stuff if I'm not like living it.
Yeah.
Because I can always feel it when they just regurgitate info and they're not living it. Like I can just feel it, the inauthenticity and the lack of integrity, because then their behavior is like the opposite. Yeah. And that kind of gets me, but I'm like, it's not my job. It's not. So like, those are things I have to just like release my ego from like wanting to do that. Because now I see people whenever they are like maybe being unconscious, I'm like, let's get more unconscious. Like I'm like, have fun with it instead of like having to critique or judge them, you know? Because then I think that says more about me than anything.
You do a good job of making that space though, so that when the person is ready, they're like, let's go. Tell me.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we also are living in an era of the guru, you know, like there's social media. It's like everybody's a fucking guru and like is trying to like teach people the way and this and that. And it's like,
I constantly have my shit together.
Right. Well, and it's not even just that, but it's more of like, I think there's such a need for like that opposite of like the playfulness of like, hey, like I've been my lower self too. And like, I know all of these ways, but it's like, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's integration, really. That's how I view it.
Yeah. Cause most of the spiritual people that I have a judgment about, like, cause you know, I read so much about this occult stuff and like I go down very deep rabbit holes. And I know if I say any of it to like everyday audience or even you guys, sometimes it's a little like, we're not talking about that right now, you know, but the one thing that really helps me to just discern what's like someone's integrous or not, that for some reason I struggle with when none of it really matters. Like I know none of it matters, but sometimes I think that, you know, like people that really live in their heart or something like that, they stop aging because it's like you have no lack or limiting thoughts. So sometimes I struggle with seeing people that are like very successful at being gurus, but then they definitely don't look their age. They're like older or something. Because just knowing certain things like that definitely like make me question people. Yeah. And then I question myself, why is that so serious to me? But I'm like, if you're a guru, some kind of influencer, it's like, if you're talking about living in your heart and you're not doing it, it's just so confusing to me. Like, I don't get it. Well, from like just a practical, like knowing energy.
Right. Understanding how energy works.
It is an energy.
It's almost like how are you making that work? Like by living like kind of like a double life, basically.
Well, it's very easy to manipulate people, especially if if you already have a self, you know, and you're proclaiming you're a guru, it's very easy to make them believe that, you know?
Establish that vision and that belief. Yeah.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's also like, have they gone through their own, you know, like quality control about themselves, like what they put out there? Are they living it? Because I don't know, I think that's the one thing that's so important to me, that like, if you're a coach or a teacher of some kind, you take responsibility and that person's karma. So if you like aren't clear on your own, you're just gonna like do more damage than good. Yeah. And I think that's so just an important thing about even in your regular relationships, you know? So because I think of it so like so important with just friendships. Yeah. But then when I see someone else like, I just have a weird feeling, you know, you can tell that you know, maybe they want power more than like being a service or something. And so that's the thing that sometimes gets my spiritual ego going, being like, well, they're not this or that. And part of me is like, it's still the same seeing lack in people when it's like, maybe I focus that on too much of myself, because that's the only reason why that's happening.
And when somebody wants to portray themselves as a guru and they have it all together, like it's a journey. You got to keep going through that. There is no like, I'm healed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, totally.
I think that's not advertised enough. Like, it's like when you, like for people who are, I guess I keep saying spiritual path because I viewed myself very much so like for a lot of my life as like being really into and like drawn to really out there things and like concepts, kind of like what you were talking about. It's like, maybe I don't share that with people. Like, even though I used to be afraid of like, I've been into like angel numbers and stuff like way before it was like on social media. And I was like, people are going to think I'm schizophrenic, you know, like they're thinking I'm a crazy person because I believe in like, you know, seeing like synchronicities basically. And so I think when you toe the line with like my normal people and then like people who are on the spiritual path, it's that energy is like, so kind of like what you were saying, it's like people not living authentically, but like the spiritual path is like, it's kind to me, it's like, yes, it's liberating, but it's a wrong ride. Like, it's not what, you know, you have to, it's living in the known versus like choosing to live in the unknown and being open.
Yes.
And that to me is the ego death, right? Like, as a recovering like control freak, basically, that's how I view it anyways, is that like once you enter the spiritual path, you finally actually realize not only you're never healed, but also like, holy shit, I have so much more healing than I even thought. Like I thought I was therapized. It's like, then you start getting really into therapy and you're like, oh God. Like,
then you realize you have more reasons to justify.
You're right. Or like not even just therapy, but like personal work and like taking time for yourself and like actually taking, like, be alone, like be alone for a while, be quiet. Like, I think that I totally always was like someone who had a big friend group, like growing up, and like didn't know how to be with myself. But I think it's just because I was like, I don't want to know what I'm thinking. Like, I don't want to face those anxieties or like, you know, dark thoughts or anything like that. Whereas like now I'm like, all right, I got to go out and be with people, like, because I enjoy that silence and that like aloneness so much more because I'm comfortable with it.
And it takes a while to get to that place where it's comfortable and you're not running from it, numbing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I love shrooms, because it forces you to confront everything inside you. And then if you do something in public, it makes you like out of your comfort zone. And I like love that experience because I love feeling just like, what the fuck is going to happen? Like, I love that unknown. And especially with other people, because like, you know, you are in a place where you like can't control anything.
We need to do more like that. We need to do more. We need to do more of that where it's like, what the fuck is going to happen?
Yeah, because the way I explain it, like, because I think the way I explain it, that helped me deal with like being totally out of control when you're tripping or on any kind of psychedelic, is that like so many people think that there's something happening to you. Like it's something you're just like, I can't control it. Something's happening. Yes. When really it's just like, it's just a new dimension that's appearing that you haven't seen. It's like you're accessing the more real energetic part of the universe than like the physical. And then, so for me, I love it because I feel like I just feel like I'm always there. Like when I see physical things, I don't really see like I'm sitting in a chair. It's like, oh, I'm seeing like something I manifested, right? You know, came from me or something.
You already think that way?
Yeah. So when I'm like,
wow, I need to start thinking about that.
But that's what I think.
That's like such a simple shift, but that's like a quantum leap. Like,
But I think it's helped because whenever I feel super like, you know, when you're super out of control, when you're on shrooms or anything that you have like no way to grasp what you're creating or not, it's just happening. I love just being there and being like, this is the best movie I've ever seen. Like have just a really funny attitude about it. Cause I think there's times where that happens if I had a bad attitude and it's not been fun. So I like to just play with the different experiences that I could have. But I think I've just learned to let go so many things that I'm just like able to do that almost like instantly, you know, cause I definitely know there's times I've had like huge jealousy or like issues of not getting a client and like feeling that bum, like disappointed feeling that you feel all the chemicals, but part of me knows how to just be like, fuck it. And then it just like dissolves.
Yeah. Totally.
So like a part
and also
of me
it's like not shaming it when those feelings come up. Like it's just human. Yeah. Like it's so like, I feel like, again, I joke that I'm like a recovering crazy person or like control freak or whatever, but it's like so much of like like my problem is just I'm so neurotic and like in my mind. Like it's okay. Like it's okay to feel anxiety. Like it's okay to feel jealous. Like it's like that is like literally part of the human experience. And I think when you find yourself on the spiritual journey, especially like the people that we're around a lot, like that gets so missed. Like everything is so like pie in the sky. Like there's these reasons and divinity and like, oh, da, 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 da. And it's like, no, like you're just experiencing a feeling and like, it's okay. And like, but the more you may like allow yourself to just like be like, this is okay. Like even if like for me, sometimes I'll get reactions like that. I was like, how come this person, you know, we started at the same time as something and they're so much further ahead, or like, how come they're getting that? And it's like, even if it takes me a day where I just need to go and be with myself and like ground out that feeling, allow myself to feel it, then it's like, and it's gone and it's over. Whereas like some people never do that. Yeah. And then it's like buried, and then it's like thing after thing keeps happening. It's like buried in them and it becomes their personality and they're like angry and like negative all the time. And it's like, I don't know. I think we're getting there. It's getting better as like a society to like talk about that. But you don't realize how much it negatively affects you to not do that. Right. You know, fuck it, basically.